Hello friends, I want to do a little training and equipping today. I want to talk to you about planting and positioning. Now the first thing that I want to talk about is I want to talk about when God gives you his dream. When you get a prophetic word from heaven, whenever, maybe at night you have a prophetic dream, whenever you get something like that, God packages it and gives it to you as what I like to call a seed. That seed may come to you as, like I said, a prophetic dream, a vision, or a prophetic word, or a thought when you're reading the word. But when you receive that, then you must position yourself. God plants, you position yourself to be able to steward that word. I know a lot of times that when God gives me like a dream and I get a good interpretation or I get a prophetic word, what I start to do before I put my natural feet to the ground and put my hands on it and start building it, I prepare my mind. I get a good mindset around this word, and I let that word go deep inside of me, and then I start preparing before I start doing something. So I position myself to prosper. So imagine this, like you got a train, like if you're a kid and you got a train, you would actually build the track before you started playing with the train because the train has to go on a track. So when God gives you a prophetic word, it's kind of like the train, then you start laying the track for the train to work. So you have to understand that. Now also, you can look at the word plant and positioning something different. If God plants you in a church, he is positioning you to be a blessing and also to receive a blessing. Whenever God plants you in a ministry, you should be able to position yourself to be a blessing and to receive a blessing. What happens a lot of times is people really don't allow themselves to be planted and let their roots run deep. I was recently talking to a guy and I've known the guy for about 4 years. And when I met the guy, he was frustrated at his last church, so he went to another church. A year later, he went to another church. A year later, he went to another church, another church, another church. You know the story. What happened is he never planted himself. Planted means you allow your roots to run deep. Whenever your roots run deep, you start to thrive. You start to produce. Think about a natural tree. A tree produces fruit for people to eat of and also produces shade. So what happens is a lot of people, they don't let their self be planted, therefore they never position their self. Then they become a vagabond. Then they're 40, they're 50, they're 60. I know some vagabonds who are 60, 65 years old. And one time somebody told me this in Texarkana. They said, well, there's no good churches in Texarkana. And I said, did you know that there's over 300 churches in Texarkana? I know Roar Church is a good church, and there are some other ones out there. Maybe the problem is you, because they never allow themselves to be planted. Now, if you're planted in a ministry, it means that you allow the ministers to speak into your life. Now, a lot of times what happens if they speak into your life and you don't like it, people pick up and they run. They don't want it. So I'm telling you, when God gives you a strong prophetic word that he plants inside of you, your responsibility immediately should be, Holy Spirit, help me to position myself to carry out this word. And when you do that, the Lord can start using you in a great and a powerful and a mighty way. And this is my philosophy. If you're going to be in a church, be in 100%. If you're going to be a part of a ministry, be in 100%. It is funny how many people claim and say, I am a part of the Roar Apostolic Network, and then they've never given a penny. I see so many people who say, I'm a part of the Roar Apostolic Network, and I'll be like, I've never talked to you before in my life. You don't text me on a regular basis. I don't know your prayer requests. If you're connected to me, I know how to pray for you. That's what a family does, that they're in communication on a regular basis. The problem is a lot of people, I might be talking to you, a lot of people are not planted somewhere in a church or in a ministry. Now, when I planted myself in Apostle Ken Malone's Apostolic Network, here's what happens. I pray for him on a regular basis. We sow into him monthly. Whenever I partner with somebody and I plant my commitment to them, I'm positioning myself to be a blessing and also to receive a blessing. So you have to understand that. Now, when I joined the gym, I planted that money they take out of my account every month. I have planted myself, but am I positioning myself to be a part of that gym? So you got to understand this. A lot of times you're setting on prophetic words and you're wanting to grow and you're wanting to do something, but you've never fully committed to the process. You've never allowed yourself to be planted. Therefore, you did not position yourself to prosper. I'm going to tell you something, and I hope you take this. Quit making excuses. The people who make the most excuses are the ones who are distracting themselves the most from doing what God has called them to. The people who make the most excuses self-inflict themselves the most. Excuses. There's no need for excuses. I'm just telling you, my friends, this is a season. Make sure you're planted. And some of you, you don't feel planted. Maybe God's moving you. Maybe God's shaking you and picking you up. You know how, like, if you pull a plant up and you shake it off and you relocate it, God's going to relocate you somewhere. Hey, some of you may join the Roar Apostolic family. I would love for you to be a part of our group and our fellowship. So I'm encouraged today to know that a lot of people are going to get this word and take it to heart. Hey, check out our website, jojodawson.net. There is a way on there you can find out about the Roar Apostolic family. You can email me a prayer request, and I would love to pray for you. This is a season you need to be planted, and you need to be positioned to move forward with God.